What is ITIL? You've seen in my previous um, lectures or maybe my training sessions. So just call it as a best practice, right? If somebody asks you what's ITIL, it's a best practice, and it's a framework. It's not a methodology. It's not a tool. It's not. It's just a best practice within a framework. I give you about 10 best practices. You want to use all 10 best practices, how to drive a car. Now, of that, you want to just use only 5 of them, which suits you and helps you makes you comfortable that okay, this is how I drive the car, and this is more than enough for me to drive the car. Because in my 10 steps, I'm going to tell you the best practices how to drive a car safely. I'll also tell you when to shift your gears, and also tell you how to take it back, or put a reverse gear on your car. And what you also need to know is, in case if you want to drift, do a little bit of drift, if you want to have that fun, I also give you the best practices, right? I'm just giving you an example which is easier to understand each other, right? So now if you are a person that you don't want to drift a car, and you don't like that kind of fun, then you will stick to those 5 steps of how to start a car, comfortably sit on the car, how to adjust your seat, your steering wheel, and how to drive a car, how to move the gears, and how to shift the gears, and stuff like that, and you're good to go. But somebody wants more, they have more. So ITIL is something like that, right? It gives you the best practices, and you will be the people to select, or you will be the person to select of what is helping you and what actually matches your need, right? Again, depends on what you really want out of that 10 best practices. So ITIL has given you about 36 best practices today. And when I say practice, it could be in a form of a process, which is now called a practice. It could tell you what's to be done, what's not to be done, and how is it benefited to you if you do so and so things, and what you should avoid to do so. Right now, it is not mandate, and it's not something that it's asking you to follow me. I'll give you one small example today. Um, there was a person that I happened to meet the other day, quickly, as you know, so that you can relate things. And he called me up, and he is one of my students now. And I asked him, "Do you know about ITIL?" He said, "Not really." So no, he actually said, "I know, I work in ITIL." So I was like, "Okay, that's great. So what do you do?" He said, "I kind of, work on the tickets." And I was like, "Okay, so you're talking my language now, and that makes a lot of sense, right?" So when you talk about tickets, and when you talk about resolutions, incidents, and stuff like that, I was like, "Okay, you are going in the same direction as I want you to. So it's great. So what is that you want to learn from me?" He's like, "I want to know everything and how this came into existence and all of that." I said, "Okay, great." So I asked him, "What is ITIL?" You know what his response was? He said, Indian Telephone uh, Industry Limited. I was like, "What? Indian Telephone Industry Limited?" So then why do you talk about those tickets, and why do you talk about incident resolution? See, he says the same thing that I expected him to say, right? That was in ITIL, in the real ITIL that we talk about incidents. He said we get the calls today that some of the telephone lines are not working, so we go ahead and fix it. So it comes to us in a form of a ticket. Then we acknowledge it. Then we send somebody at the site, and we really see what is the problem. If it's a cable issue, or if it's a device issue, and we see if they have even paid their bills, and etc. and etc. Right, like the subscription part of it. So I realized, knowingly, without their knowledge, or with the information they have or they don't have, I've realized, knowingly and unknowingly, they are still following ITIL. So today I can put my hand up and say that no company today is not using ITIL, because ITIL is supposed to be used. Uh, any company, be it a small uh, a shop or a small business that you want to start off, right? So you need to understand what is strategy, what is design, what is transition, operation, and continuous service improvement. And the word before that is very important, and we're going to talk that today a little bit more, right? So I haven't really been talking about service. So service is nothing but, remember, is a value. Just remember this word. You don't have to break your head for a lot of things. Just remember, service is value, right? A service is nothing but somebody's